Today, I will be recapping the most epic animation movie of 2024 called Chang'an. Spoilers ahead, so relax and enjoy the thrilling story about how the powerful Tubo army waged a fierce war against the mighty Tang dynasty. In the first year of Emperor Dong's reign, the Tubo's army launched a sudden and powerful attack against the Tang dynasty. The Tang soldiers were completely unprepared for this fierce assault, including Goi, the governor of the Sikwon command. Just when the Tang forces thought they had defeated the Tubos at Yen Fort, Goi noticed another large troop of enemy soldiers advancing quickly towards them. The Tubo's army spread chaos everywhere, even reaching the borders of Enluzhen, causing fear and confusion. Goi quickly ordered his soldiers to stop fighting and retreat to a safer position at Lushir Pass. His men rushed to follow his command, realizing their survival depended on reaching that stronghold. When Goi arrived at Lushir Pass, he learned that the Tubos had already surrounded Chang'an and that the emperor had fled with his court. Though confused about what to do next, Goi knew he had to obey the emperor's orders and defend the capital. Despite the danger, he prepared to fight the Tubos to protect Chang'an and chase the invaders away. Goi decided to interrogate a Tubo prisoner captured by his soldiers at Yashin. While questioning the prisoner, a soldier suddenly rushed in to inform Goi of the arrival of Inspector Chang, who was sent by the emperor. Goi instructed his servant to receive Inspector Chang and prepared to continue the interrogation. Instead of focusing on the prisoner, Goi ordered that the captive be tied up outside in the cold. Feeling guilty and overwhelmed by the failure to protect Chang'an, Goi even tried to take his own life. When Inspector Chang finally arrived, Goi expected to be executed for his perceived failure, but Chang surprised him by asking many questions instead. The emperor wanted to understand Goi's connection to Lei, an old friend he had once tried to kill 5 years ago. It was then that Goi revealed his strong and complicated friendship with Lei, a bond that had grown after the loss of his royal parents at a young age. This revelation began to change how Chang viewed Goi. Goi began to share the story of his family and past. He talked about his grandfather, a powerful commander who served Emperor Zong as the Northeast commander. His grandfather played a vital role in conquering 2 kingdoms and was honored by being buried next to Emperor Zong. Goi's father wanted him to follow in his grandfather's footsteps, so he started training Goi in martial arts at just 7 years old. Alongside martial arts, Goi's father also ensured he learned to read and write, preparing him to become a great leader. As a teenager, Goi became so skilled that he could even defeat his own father during training. Sadly, when Goi turned 16, his father passed away from a serious illness, leaving him orphaned since his mother had died during childbirth. Despite these hardships, Goi was determined to restore his family's honor and aimed to become a respected official in the court. However, the journey ahead was difficult, filled with many challenges he had to overcome on his own. Goi's journey was full of hardships. Soon after leaving home, he ran out of food and money. Luckily, he met Li, the young son of a wealthy merchant. Li mistakenly accused Goi of stealing a horse. This led to a fight between them, but Li quickly realized that Goi's martial arts skills were too strong for a thief. Listening to Goi's explanation, Li understood that Goi was innocent and had seen the real thieves escape with horses. Li then borrowed Goi's horse and went after the true thieves, but almost got hurt by one of them. Goi rushed to save Li from the thief's sword. This brave rescue marked the start of their friendship. Though Li found Goi very formal, he thanked him for saving his horse. Li revealed that the horse was carrying something precious, not gold or silver, but the remains of his best friend, Wu Yan, whom he promised to bury in a beautiful place. Li came from a family connected to the imperial clan and hoped to rise in the court one day. After sharing his story, Li asked Goi to teach him martial arts, especially how to use a spear. Impressed by Goi's skills, how he took down thieves like a flying dragon, Li promised to teach him wrestling in return. During their training, Li showed Goi that the best way to defeat an opponent is by using tricks, especially at night. Goi also taught Li how to use a spear efficiently without wasting energy. Later, Li buried the remains of his best friend, Wu Yan, and paid tribute to him with a heartfelt ceremony. This moment revealed Li's carefree but emotional nature to Goi. Together, they traveled to Chang'an, the capital. Along the way, Li shared his plan to become a Taoist hermit in the future. Goi tried to discourage him from such a hard choice, but when Li mentioned a shortcut to gaining an official rank by passing the scroll, where men of humble birth could become officials by impressing the right people, Goi became hopeful. Meanwhile, outside in the cold, the captured Tubo soldier was about to die, but 2 soldiers freed him, revealing their loyalty to the Tubo and plans to conquer Chang'an soon. Li and Goi made their way to the home of a powerful official, hoping to gain support. support. However, Li Ai was rejected because he was the son of a wealthy merchant considered no different from the lowest class in the capital. This rejection did not discourage Li Ai, he remained determined. Later, Li Ai and Goi went to the Yellow Crane Tower to drink and relax. There, Li Ai decided to write a poem and insisted that it be placed beside the poem of the famous poet Kaho. Upon reading Kaho's poem, Goi and the other guests were deeply impressed by the beauty and skill in the writing. This inspired Li Ai to focus even more on becoming an official. After parting ways with Goi, Li Ai traveled to Yangsha while Goi stayed behind to continue his efforts in Chang'an. Goi promised to visit Li Ai if he succeeded. Upon arriving in Chang'an, Goi found that his family's reputation had declined significantly and no prominent official wished to mentor him. To survive and find a chance to prove himself, he chose to become a spear dancer. Goi's skills as a spear dancer quickly earned him recognition. He was selected to perform at a banquet hosted by Prince Qin and Princess Yan. This performance was his only opportunity to impress the royals and secure an official position. Goi gave his best, combining dance with battle techniques, surprising everyone with his skill and grace. However, Princess Yan was not impressed. She found the dance somewhat frightening to watch. Feeling discouraged, Goi hid in a room to reflect on his failure. There, he met Wei Dufu, a friend of Prince Qin, who explained that Princess Yan preferred dance and music that was gentle and soothing. Right before them, Princess Yan recommended a poet named Wang Wei, whose soft music had won her favor. The next morning, Goi watched as others eagerly went to receive their official ranks. Feeling left behind, he was forced to help a singing lady who almost fell from her horse. To his surprise, they recognized each other from the banquet performance. Goi was shocked to learn that Li Ai's poems had become widely popular across Chang'an within just 1 year of their separation. After leaving Chang'an, Goi traveled to Yangcha to reunite with his old friend Li Ai, who had become famous as a poet. Upon arriving, Goi was drawn into Li Ai's plans when Li Ai asked for his help to steal a beautiful maiden from a banquet. They escaped together on a boat, but their joy was short-lived as men chasing them caught up and forcefully took the maiden away. This deeply saddened Li Ai, but the maiden offered to perform one last dance for him as a sign of gratitude. Li Ai gave her all the money he had, along with his precious jade ring, showing how much he cared. Goi wondered what had become of Li Ai's original ambition to serve as an official. Li Ai's followers insisted that he was successful as a poet, but Goi was not satisfied. To settle matters, Goi challenged Li Ai's follower, Pishi, to a fight. Surprisingly, Pishi revealed herself to be a skilled woman warrior and defeated Goi. She was the daughter of a famous general and the only inheritor of her father's swordsmanship. Goi felt ashamed of his defeat and decided to travel to Shanggu to regain his skills. Although Li Ai wished Goi would stay in Yangcha and enjoy the nightlife, Goi's mind was already made up. The scene shifted to a soldier reporting to the president of the Tubo's army that Lushir Pass would be destroyed in 6 hours if no action was taken. Goi, however, had a plan. He told Inspector Chang to relax and listen carefully to the rest of his story. Goi began training hard in Shanggu, improving both his physical strength and reading skills with help from a village student who tutored him. One day, the villagers brought a man to Goi, claiming they found him wandering near the temple. To Goi's surprise, it was his old friend Li Ai. Both were very happy to see each other again. Li Ai explained his difficult situation. After leaving Yangcha, he became sick and was denied a share of his late father's property by his brothers, making him an outcast. Now, Li Ai was preparing to marry the daughter of Chancellor Exu. However, he did not seem happy about this marriage and wanted to live with his wife's family instead. Goi strongly opposed Li Ai's idea of joining his wife's family, believing it would mean giving up his own identity and ambitions. Li Ai then decided to seek advice from their mutual friend, Mian Horan, who lived in Zhanggang. When they arrived at Tangang, they learned Mian Horan was already on his way to Yangxia to find Li Bai. Without wasting time, Goi and Li Ai hurried to meet Mian Horan before his boat left for Yangcha. From a distance, Li Ai tried to communicate with Mian Horan, but the strong wind interrupted their messages. Using his writing skills, Li Ai sent a message asking for support, but Mian Horan's reply was negative. No one agreed with Li Ai's plan to join his bride's family. Disappointed, Li Ai dragged Goi to the Yellow Crane Tower to compete against the famous poet Kaho's poem again. This time, Goi joined Li Ai, and soon after, Goi enlisted in the army. Goi's strength quickly gained attention in the army. He was appointed captain of a cavalry unit in Jizu by the emperor's orders. The Jizu army was tasked with hunting down the elusive kittens, but Goi's cavalry wasn't strong enough. The kittens kept leading the army into traps, frustrating Goi and the emperor. Eventually, the emperor ordered a retreat, which made Goi angry and disappointed. Feeling defeated, Goi decided to leave the army and focus on poetry instead. He went to an inn and began writing a new poem, expressing his experiences in Jizu. However, Li Ai soon found him again, after hearing about Jiuai's poem gaining popularity in Tang. Li Ai shared how he had been sidelined after his father-in-law died and how he was now apprenticing under the Toastmaster Danu. Li Ai also revealed something shocking. Luzon, the northern region of Tang, was planning a major attack on the Tang dynasty. Their conversation was interrupted when Gu, the general of Longo, suddenly appeared. Gu threatened to kill Li Ai for knowing the secret. Just as tension rose, the Pingo army arrived, forcing Gu and the others to flee. Later that night, Gu revealed to Li Ai and Goi that he was facing execution, accused of causing a fire at a military camp. Goi promised to save him by pleading with Governor Jejuan for a pardon. Days passed without news, and the day of Gu's execution approached. Li Ai tried to stop the officers but was powerless. Just then, Goi arrived with the governor's pardon, saving Gu from death. The friends spent time quietly, wondering about their uncertain futures. Goi reminded Li Ai of their first meeting 10 years ago, which inspired Li Ai to set another meeting a decade later. Goi returned to Shanggu and retired from military life to focus on writing poems. Serving the emperor seemed like a distant dream because many officials preferred praise over poetry. Prominent officials avoided Goi because of a poem he wrote in Jizu. 10 years later, Li Ai sent Goi a letter informing him of his acceptance into the court recommended by Princess Aizen. He invited Goi to Chang'an to follow the shortcut to becoming an official. Goi arrived in Chang'an to find fans of Li Ai gathered around his gate. He even reunited with Du, the young man from the prince's banquet. They discovered Li Ai at the Kajang house, drinking wine and surrounded by maidens. Goi was disappointed to see Li Ai drunk and forgotten his invitation. Years later, Du visited Goi in Shanggu, accompanied by another man carrying an old gate. It was Li Ai, who was sober for the first time in a long while. The court was no longer his favorite place because the emperor's consort disliked him and his wife had passed away. Li Ai decided to become a Taoist priest and asked Goi and Du to support him in his ordination at the Toss Temple in Jinan. Despite harsh weather, they stood by his side until he received his ordination bell. They celebrated this achievement by drinking wine until dawn. However, Goi decided to leave for Longo to serve Governor Jejuan as a military secretary. It hurt Li Ai to see his friend leave, so he challenged Goi to a wrestling duel. Goi accepted, and like old times, he won. Goi served as a secretary to Governor Jejuan during the war against the Tubos. Despite commanding 30,000 soldiers, the Tubos kept them trapped in the stone fort for an entire year. Goi continued his work diligently and later met Li Bai again in Zhangang, where he heard news about Li Bai's new wife and fame. Meanwhile, the Tang dynasty was falling apart. Many generals grew jealous and plotted against the throne. Some defected, including Asusun, while Jejuan became paralyzed during battle but refused to betray Tang. With no successor, Jejuan urged Goi to escape and warn the emperor about the traitors. When Goi returned to Chang'an, he found the city in total chaos and was chased by the fleeing court. 6 months later, Tang began to change for the better when Emperor Daong took the throne. Goi was appointed governor of San Command. However, trouble soon arose as Prince Yong, son of Emperor Sanging, planned to rebel and seize control of the command. To achieve this, Prince Yong gathered allies including generals, royals, and poets. Surprisingly, Li Bai was one of his allies, dedicating 11 poems to praise the prince's victorious spirit. Luckily, Goi managed to uncover the plot and successfully executed Prince Yong and all his conspirators for treason. Even Li Bai was sentenced to death despite his claims of innocence. His wife offered to retire to Mount Lu and live in solitude, but Goi imprisoned Li Bai, fearing rumors about their friendship would spread. This led to ongoing tension between Goi and Inspector Chang. Inspector Chang believed that Governor Goi's anger toward him was due to the intervention on Li Bai's behalf. Meanwhile, Goi had a secret plan of his own. Despite his seemingly grave injury, the blood stain on his neck was a trick to buy time. His goal was to lure all Tubo troops closer to the walls of Lushur Pass to defeat them. Fortunately, Yen Wu and his reinforcements were already on their way, meaning the Tubo forces would have no escape. Inspector Chang finally understood Goi's clever plan and felt excited about the governor's ability to save Tang. After the fierce battle, Goi was demoted and ordered to leave Lushur Pass, but soon after he received good news, the emperor granted amnesty to release Li Bai from exile. Goi also discovered that Du was safe in Yingu, though he wanted to keep this a secret because he had convinced Guzi to intercede for Li Bai's life. Inspector Chang already knew about this, but Goi returned to writing poems in Shanggu. However, he was soon called back to serve as imperial advisor of Bohai, just 1 year after his friend Li Bai's death. Even after Goi's passing, Tang remained peaceful for a long time. That was how the story of Goi and his struggles ended in the movie. Please subscribe the channel and share the video. Thanks.